Welcome back to Nerdy Show. I'm your host Spoiler Master, and today we are diving deep into one of the most confusing, fascinating, and tragic families in literary history, the Buendía family from 100 Years of Solitude. If you have watched Netflix's adaptation of 100 Years of Solitude, then you already know that remembering this family is not an easy task. Almost every generation has the same names: José Arcadio, Aureliano, Amaranta, and because of that, it becomes extremely difficult to understand who belongs to which generation. But behind all these repeated names is a much deeper story about love, loneliness, ambition, fate, and a family trapped in a cycle they cannot escape. Today, we are going to break down the complete José Arcadio Buendía family tree, starting with the founders of Macondo, following every important generation, and finally reaching the tragic end of the Buendía bloodline. So, let's begin. The beginning. José Arcadio Buendía and Úrsula Iguarán. The entire story of the Buendía family begins with two people, José Arcadio Buendía and Úrsula Iguarán. They are not only the founders of the Buendía family, they are also the founders of the mysterious town of Macondo. José Arcadio Buendía is a dreamer, an inventor, and a man obsessed with discovering the secrets of the world. He spends years chasing knowledge, experimenting with new ideas, and searching for impossible discoveries. But while José Arcadio looks toward the future, Úrsula is the person who keeps the family connected to reality. She is strong, practical, and determined to protect her family no matter what happens. However, before they even begin their life together, there is already a dark shadow hanging over their relationship. Because José Arcadio and Úrsula are related by blood, Úrsula fears an old family curse, a warning that children born from relatives could be born with a pig's tail. This fear follows them throughout their marriage. But despite the warning, they build a family together, and unknowingly begin a cycle that will continue for the next 100 years. First generation, José Arcadio and Colonel Aureliano Buendía. José Arcadio Buendía and Úrsula have 3 children, José Arcadio, Colonel Aureliano Buendía, and Amaranta. The first son, José Arcadio, inherits his father's powerful personality and physical strength. Unlike his younger brother Aureliano, José Arcadio is guided by passion and instinct rather than logic. He develops a relationship with Pilar Ternera, and their connection leads to the birth of his son, Arcadio. However, José Arcadio's life is filled with mystery, and after leaving Macondo for some time, he returns as a completely changed person. His story becomes connected with passion, violence, and tragedy, showing one of the earliest examples of the family's repeating patterns. The second child is Aureliano Buendía, who becomes one of the most important figures in the entire family history. Unlike José Arcadio, Aureliano is quiet, intelligent, and extremely observant. He spends much of his life searching for answers and understanding the world around him. Eventually, he becomes known as Colonel Aureliano Buendía, a revolutionary leader who fights numerous wars and becomes a legendary figure throughout the region. But despite his fame and power, Aureliano remains deeply lonely. He can command armies and influence history, but he struggles with something much simpler, forming genuine emotional connections. During his lifetime, Colonel Aureliano has many children with different women, and many of them are named Aureliano. This repetition of names becomes one of the biggest symbols of the story, showing how the Buendías are constantly repeating the same mistakes of previous generations. Amaranta, the lonely daughter. The third child of José Arcadio Buendía and Úrsula is Amaranta. Unlike her brothers, Amaranta never creates a traditional family. She experiences love and emotional connections, especially with Pietro Crespi, but jealousy, regret, and personal pain prevent her from finding true happiness. Throughout her life, Amaranta struggles with loneliness. Her story represents another major theme of the Buendía family, the inability to completely open their hearts and connect with others. Even when love is available, they often push it away. Second generation, Arcadio and Aureliano José. Now we move into the next generation of the Buendía family. The son of José Arcadio and Pilar Ternera is Arcadio. Because his father leaves him, Arcadio grows up without knowing the complete truth about his origins. Like many children in the Buendía family, he struggles with identity and belonging. As an adult, Arcadio becomes the temporary ruler of Macondo. However, power changes him, and he becomes strict and authoritarian. He marries Santa Sofía de la Piedad, and together they have 3 children: Remedios the Beauty, José Arcadio Segundo, and Aureliano Segundo. Meanwhile, Colonel Aureliano Buendía also has a son with Pilar Ternera, Aureliano José. Aureliano José grows up carrying many of the same emotional struggles found throughout the family. His feelings for Amaranta become complicated and painful, creating another example of impossible love within the Buendía bloodline. Like many before him, he searches for connection but finds only loneliness. Third generation, the twins José Arcadio Segundo and Aureliano Segundo. One of the most interesting branches of the family tree begins with the twins, José Arcadio Segundo and Aureliano Segundo. They are the sons of Arcadio and Santa Sofía de la Piedad. Because they look almost identical, even their own family struggles to tell them apart. This confusion continues throughout their lives, and it represents another important idea in the story. The Buendías are constantly repeating history, almost as if they are trapped inside the same cycle. José Arcadio Segundo becomes connected with politics and the tragic events surrounding the Banana Company massacre. Aureliano Segundo takes a completely different path. He becomes wealthy, enjoys extravagant celebrations, and lives a life filled with pleasure. He marries Fernanda del Carpio, a woman obsessed with tradition, reputation, and social status. Together they have 3 children, Renata Remedios, also known as Meme, José Arcadio, and Amaranta Úrsula. Remedios the Beauty. Before continuing, we have to talk about one of the most mysterious members of the Buendía family, Remedios the Beauty. The daughter of Arcadio and Santa Sofía de la Piedad, Remedios is considered the most beautiful woman in Macondo. But unlike others, she has no interest in wealth, power, or social expectations. She represents innocence and purity. Her most famous moment comes when she mysteriously rises into the sky while hanging laundry. This moment perfectly captures the world of Macondo, where magical events are treated as normal parts of everyday life. Fourth generation, Meme, José Arcadio, and Amaranta Úrsula. The children of Aureliano Segundo and Fernanda continue the next chapter of the family story. Their daughter Renata Remedios, known as Meme, falls deeply in love with Mauricio Babilonia. But Fernanda refuses to accept their relationship. Because of Fernanda's strict beliefs and social expectations, their love story ends in tragedy. Meme is separated from Mauricio, and their child is hidden away from the rest of the family. That child is Aureliano Babilonia. Their son José Arcadio grows up in isolation because of Fernanda's strict upbringing. Like many Buendías before him, he searches for purpose but struggles to understand his place in the world. Their youngest daughter, Amaranta Úrsula, becomes one of the few characters who tries to break away from the family's destructive patterns. She leaves Macondo but eventually returns, hoping to rebuild the family's future. The final generation, Aureliano Babilonia and Amaranta Úrsula. The final chapter of the Buendía family begins with Aureliano Babilonia. Raised in isolation, Aureliano becomes highly intelligent and spends years studying ancient manuscripts written by Melquiades. These mysterious writings contain the complete history of the Buendía family. But the shocking truth is, Aureliano does not realize that he himself is part of that prophecy. When Amaranta Úrsula returns to Macondo, the two develop a relationship. However, they unknowingly repeat the greatest mistake of their ancestors. They are related by blood. Their child is born with the feared pig's tail, proving that the curse Úrsula worried about from the very beginning has finally come true. The end of the Buendía bloodline. After the birth of the final child, tragedy arrives. As Aureliano finally understands the meaning of Melquiades' manuscripts, he discovers that the entire history of the Buendía family was already written. Every love, every mistake, every tragedy was destined to happen. As he reads the final pages, Macondo begins to disappear. The town that held generations of Buendías is erased, and the family line ends forever. The prophecy is complete. Our nerdy thoughts. The Buendía family tree is much more than a collection of names. It is a story about human nature, about how people repeat their mistakes when they fail to learn from the past. The José Arcadios represent passion, strength, and physical desire. The Aurelianos represent intelligence, isolation, and the search for meaning. And Amaranta represents emotional pain, the fear of love and the consequences of loneliness. For 100 years, the Buendías search for happiness and connection, but they remain trapped because they cannot escape their own history. And that is what makes 100 Years of Solitude such a powerful story. The Buendías are not just a fictional family, they are a reflection of humanity itself. If you enjoyed this family tree breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe to Nerdy Show, and let us know which character from 100 Years of Solitude you want to see explained next.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.